Britain, an island where history is part of the landscape, where human feet have walked for 1,000,000 years.
In this series I'm going to explore Britain's distant past, from the earliest evidence of people in Britain right up to the moment that everything would change.
I'm going to discover how our ancestors survived from hunting and from gathering. I'll discover the technologies they used, the knowledge that they passed down, and the traces that they left behind.
I mean, it's mind-blowing. Yeah, 1,000,000 years ago, right here, there was a family of people with mammoths.
This is the story of ancient Britain. And evidence of those conflicts can be found throughout Britain in the extraordinary structures left behind from the Iron Age called hillforts. This is the spectacular Malvern Hills, and I'm heading for one of my favourite places in Britain.
There's a bracing wind up here. There was a frost last night, but by golly, it's brilliant. It makes you feel alive. Literally breathtaking in every way. Fabulous. I mean, this has to be your archetypal hill fort. You can see the ramparts of the past. Mysterious features in the British landscape, and this is British Camp, aptly named. It's the most incredible view from up here. Absolutely stunning. I've been up this hill a few times over the years, and it never ceases to amaze. It's just brilliant. I think the first thing that strikes you when you come up here is the impressiveness of the earthworks. There's a lot of work to excavate all of this, and of course the ditches would have been steeper and deeper, and it's believed that they had a palisade going around them of stakes in some way. These would have been very impressive features in the landscape. They give a wonderful view across the landscape, but they also impose a presence on the landscape. They define a territory. This is our place. And it gave the tribes that used these hill forts the opportunity to control the trade and movement through their areas. There were major hill forts and minor hill forts. And you can see how large and impressive this is. Some of them have evidence of battles and some don't. But there again, sometimes you have an enemy that's so powerful you don't want to go to war with them.
To find out more about the Iron Age tribes who constructed this fort, I'm meeting local archaeologist Aidan Smith.
What do we know about the culture of the people?
Well, the Iron Age used to be just characterised as a warrior culture, and that's all they thought about. But consider the gold that they were making, the gold talks. It's fantastic, the artwork that they were creating. It can't just be a warrior class. There was certainly a warrior elite, but it's not just based on war. Out there in the environs, we've got huge evidence for farmsteads. Just on Wells Road, not long ago, last year, we found a production site, a pottery production site. So there's a wealth of evidence around the site, not just on the site. It's best to think of hill forts as being associated with the landscape, not separate from it.
I mean, they're basically a power hub.
Exactly.
Within the landscape.
Exactly.
So would there have been a chieftain here?
I think there would. And at some point a chieftain had this made, had this created. I think he'd probably only visit seasonally, because if he's the chief of the Dobuni, he's got quite a territory to control. probably come here in special festivals. They are up here at some time in the year, and everyone down there is physically looking up at them. So it's just instilling that hierarchy again into society. It may well have been a place where the Druids lived as well with the chieftains, again seasonally, because they're doing other things in wetlands. There's lots of ritual activity in different parts of the landscape in the Iron Age.
The design of the ramparts and the defences is obviously steep.
Yes.
Obviously a very good defence.
Yes.
But it was also quite maze-like.
Exactly, yeah. The very interesting thing about most hill forts is they generally have one very convoluted entrance with lots of left and right turns. Now that would be a fantastic defensive structure. On the gate you may well, instead of having the timber wall, you may have had a stone wall with a timber bridge going across the banks either side so you can throw stuff down. Timber gate, very hard to get through, but then the south entrance, there's practically nothing. It's almost a straight line in. So I think the defences, or the complicated entrance, is actually more important the way you walk through it.
Fascinating. I mean, and what a view. And if you were the chief, you could look down on all of your subjects.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
So I guess it would have been more wooded perhaps, with small
farmsteads, yeah. I mean, the landscape isn't that different really. We'd have had more elm wood, but it's not a million miles away from what it was. Obviously the field and enclosures would be very different, dotted with farmsteads, as you say, and you'd be able to see this aspect that we are very familiar with, double ditch enclosures and the Iron Age settlements within those, and they would be all across the landscape. And of course most of these little hills that you can see would have a little hill fort on them as well.
Britain has over 3,000 hill forts. This is one of the most spectacular.
Aidan, this hill fort's really quite something, because this isn't soft chalk that they are quarrying. I mean, this is limestone.
Yeah, with antler tools as well. Yeah, it's phenomenal, isn't it? But I doubt that they were using antler tools on rock like this. I think like earlier periods in history, they were probably setting a fire underneath the stone, on the stone, and then throwing water on it for it to crack.
Right. It's impressive. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I've often wondered where the stone goes.
Where does the stone go? Yeah.
So that then, if you're thinking about the major entrance and having a stone wall around it, it starts to make sense. We haven't got evidence of it now because the medieval...
They would have pinched it.
Exactly.
So all that's visible now are the earthworks. But once, the fort would have contained buildings such as roundhouses. Only faint traces of those structures now remain.
This looks like the site of a roundhouse.
This area
this little area here. Entrance facing southeast, which is normal for roundhouses.
So am I walking around it now?
You're walking it. You're inside it.
I'm inside.
You're inside.
So it's quite a big roundhouse.
Yeah, and you're just reaching the edge now.
So this is it.
This is it.
Yeah, I can see it better from here.
Fire in the middle.
Yep.
So people all around doing different functions. We know that they had different parts of the roundhouses to do different things.
Hi folks, I'm Dan Snyder on a History Hit TV adventure in Antarctica. You should subscribe because we've got a lot more of this kind of thing coming up, including digs on the former battlefields of the Western Front. As subscribers, you can use the code YouTube to get 50% off your first 3 months.